Welcome in, everybody. As we get into this Christmas Eve's Eve in the market, we've seen gold and silver hit all-time highs. But kind of what we discussed yesterday, when we hit the $70 mark, I mean, you got to expect some action. The fact that gold was able to get up to 40, I mean, it was up a little bit today. It was up to like 4,500, and now it's reversed back down. I would expect huge volatility, at least in the morning, when traders come. It's just gone up so parabolically that at some point you're going to get some kind of collaboration down to see where the support is. And we talked about yesterday, if it reversed back down, we need to see how 4,376 or 4,298, one of these areas. But the fact that you got on top of this, when we back text this, we don't know if we're going to come all the way out to almost 5K in the short term. But I accidentally extended that out. I apologize. It's going to be if we back test this area around 4,376. It's something we've been anticipating. Didn't know how much farther up it would go. I actually wasn't sure if we would get up to $70 first with silver before the pullback, but we got the 70.50 and it went above my 67 target. So I guess the main question is, I mean, do we continue up or do we finally pull back here a little bit? That's going to be a question to be asked, something to be watched. It's been a hell of a run up. We still haven't finished off our technical targets for silver after a 40-plus year cup and handle. Our technical target's up at $93 and some change, so these corrections will get eaten up pretty quickly. Don't get caught up in the nonsense and just stay the course. As far as crypto goes, not surprised to see it reverse down a little bit here. XRP got close to $1.93 and 94. It just hasn't been able to push past those levels. Reversed back down early this morning. We were down at about the $1.87 mark. Slightly working our way back up right now. Bitcoin's clearly reversed back down. It was up to 90K. Now it's back down sub 87. I don't trust this market at all. What I'm seeing with XDC, again, going opposite of the market, it continues to be a very telling storyline to see if the rest of crypto is a day behind or if we're going to follow. So I'm very interested to see the 4-hourly. That's a little bit of a reversal candle. So a little bit nerve-wracking if you're an XDC holder. Back within this consolidation, it's more than just being a holder of crypto right now, being concerned. It goes through more than just the crypto market. I will say a bit uncomfortable with all the questions I've been getting from a lot of people. As far as I've been getting hammered between emails and private messages and so on and so forth, and not that I don't want to help, but I've been getting bombarded. On one hand, people are criticizing the hell out of me. On the other hand, people are begging for my help when they're down 30, 40, 50, 70% in their portfolios. And it's becoming a very scary proposition because I don't know what to do. You know, there's in a lot of ways I want to help as much as I can, but at the same time, I'm not a financial advisor. And there's only so much I can do. And there's a lot of people I respect a lot. There's people that have sent me instant messages that I feel so bad about that I really have a lot of respect for that I don't know what to say. And I don't want to say people by name because there's like 35 people that have sent me messages in the last 48 hours. Something about this last drop I think really affected people. And I really do appreciate all of the messages and the fact that you trust me enough for my opinion. And I'll try to do it in an out and about way. And there's some that I do want to respond to in a different kind of a way because I have a deeper trust. Like Crypto Cooter I've been thinking about, and this doesn't relate to what I'm talking about right now, but Crypto Cooter has been going back and forth, sending me some stuff about the market, and it's not relatable to what I said, but still, I feel like I could give a nice response back to him too. It's just I got to figure out a way to word things in a way to make it make sense, because in a market like this, I don't want everybody to think that it's just over. Yes, is there going to be some bearishness? Yes. And with what's coming out, is it likely to go down before it goes up? In my opinion, it's more likely to go down than up at this moment, but it doesn't mean that it's just over. See, that's the big misconception of this market. We're not over for all time. We're just trying to clear out a lot of this liquidity that was created on that October 10th drop. Because the one thing the market can't afford to do is have all of these open leverage out from a certain level that seems like it will never be closed, and then just go unabated all the way up to all-time highs and all the way through another bullish cycle. You don't really want all that leverage sitting back there. So I think this has been a strategic cat and mouse game here to end the year. I think for the most part, the market makers know that we have downward liquidity, but we have to foster the illusion of a big break. And right now, sitting at $1.88, I mean, with how everybody's talking, you'd think XRP's at 330 with the confidence level and some things. But also you would think that XRP's at 0 based on the way others talk about the productivity over the last 2-3 years. You know, there's been a lot of expansion, but within expansion comes contraction, because when you expand a product, a lot of times you contract some of the inner workings of it until you get into the proper alignment. And price discovery, whether up or down, it tends to be very chaotic. You'll notice one thing today. I've noticed it across social media. Buzz is dying down for crypto a little bit. I think with the way the week started, a lot of people expected us to get into upward volatility because of the holidays. And I think a lot of people are a little disappointed here this morning that they're getting here. Now we're on Christmas Eve, and all they're seeing is a continued red. I think some people are starting to flip into gold and silver. And I said my biggest fear yesterday was that a lot of people that skipped out on gold and silver, they're going to start to buy now that silver's around 70 and gold was at 4,500. And what they're going to end up finding is there can be bad buys in the interim, but long term, it'll look like a good buy. So what I mean by that with gold and silver, if you're buying the precious metal, it's already come up a lot. So there's a chance that you could buy it on one of these up rallies, and then all of a sudden find yourself down $300, $400, $500 an ounce on gold and several dollars on silver, but still be perfectly positioned and not realize it going forward as inflation continues to break down the wall, you know, of our purchasing power. So with that being said, I'm going to try to get into this really nicely. Please make sure to hit that like button. This is not going around very good. I shared this myself, but I haven't received any notification. I didn't receive a notification that this live went on, as opposed to yesterday when I was getting the notification. So we'll do our best to reach as many people as possible. The fact there's 70 people here makes me very, very blessed and honored. I was going to do a short before the live, but I figured I would do it after, because I wanted to not get the information mixed up. So after the live ends, probably around noon or so, I'll do a short just so that more and more people can see. Good. You got a notification. That's a good sign, because I just sent some out myself. And let's see if anything came. Yeah, I sent out an alert, and I just got the live from yesterday on Julie's tablet. That's so funny. Well, I sent out an alert for today's live, but it sent it for yesterday. That's pretty funny. Good morning. 10:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. If you want some solitude here, or some solidity, or some validity, at least we've held that $1.85 so far. If you want some optimism, if you want some, let's say, contraction, detraction, or just downward price momentum, break $1.85 and ultimately lose that $1.77 area, you'll get some downward price volatility. If you want some upward price volatility, we need to get back above $1.94 and ultimately start to load up here and push out and hold that $2 level and ultimately get past that 216 to 222. And maybe we could invalidate a move down. But I really do think if we do a wave 4 down, I mean, everybody, we're talking about expansion or contraction. for our narrative, we want contraction here because that would turn into capitulation to the downside. I don't know if I can guarantee that, but if we get below $1.77, I believe we can track down to at least $1.57. Fill out the 1618, I believe it is on the Fibonacci. 1618 extension. Also fill out wave 4. Also fill out the support structure for the technical drop down. It all seems like it would add up to a drop there. If it drops there, I'm very tempted across the board to make some, man, oh man. I just don't know how long it's going to dick us right here. But I do know if we get below this area on that hot pink, and we can start to stop being dicked around here, and we can start to do what we need to do. But it's like going through this. We've already built this out where I think is beautiful. I really do think this is a beautiful technical setup. Because if we look at a broadening style wedge here, if you want to call it an expandable wedge, you got a support structure here. I really believe this can be what's happening. If we break down that megaphone pattern, it might not be a megaphone, and it might be something a little more established here now. And we won't know until we figure this break out, break down, retap support, and then push out. I don't know. But we do have 1, 2 resistance, 1, 2 support. That does constitute a broadening wedge. Now, here's the deal. Most technical aspects, or wave 3 down, I'm sorry. Wave 3 down, wave 4 up. Wave 4 down. Wave 4 up, you're talking about the bear count. Okay. I see it in a couple different ways here, though. I'm not sure we've actually expanded out yet. That's what gets me confused here on these wave counts. I don't know if we've actually... If we go if this is wave 3 down, wave 4 up, that means wave 5. You would say that even with the push up, that's going to be nothing more than just a breakdown back test. I get kind of caught up here a little bit because I could make the argument, and it's hard to make it because you have that wick down before. But if you would have actually had a stable push, I mean, you could make an argument that this goes a couple different ways. Yeah, from the macro. Either way, this doesn't end well. Even if you had a wave 4 up and wave 5, if you get wave 4 up, if this were to go up, I just believe you get contracted down even farther from here. It does make it more fluid with that dot wick. That's the thing. You're right about that. It's why it's confusing me right now. Because if we're going to do the wave 4 up, I think they're building inverse patterns. And then that $1.85 would be the ultimate support here. And I think it's validated if we talk that sense with these charts right here. It's not just the fact we're back testing. It's the fact that a lot of these would point to the bounce zone, even if it's a $1.83-ish. Because then if you do that, if it's going to do that, I would love to see it bounce off of no worse than $1.85. And then start pushing back towards that $2, ultimately get back above, and then start working back up towards that $2.65 area. But do we have the steam? I really don't know. I don't know if we have the steam. We have the illusion that we can do this. But we're going to need some help. But there's a reason we haven't broke down yet. There's a reason we haven't broke down yet. This next wave up, I tend to agree with the audience. I don't know if this will break. This shouldn't be an all-time high push. But what's giving me a little bit of confluency here is that maybe XDC is just a step up. And notice how it consolidated down to 449, and now it's back within the middle of this pattern. So maybe this It's trying to show us something here. But it's a little discombobulating right now, but we got to watch every single day, we really do have to watch this in a very decisive manner, because look at this. In the hourly, it's breaking up. Plenty of room in the stochastic. I mean, if these are rounding, if this was a rounding of the bottom, that would have been a perfect liquidity dump. Now, yeah, we still have a lot of stuff we need to do to get this right, and volume would be a good thing. You know, volume would be a great thing. But that's one thing I'm not seeing throughout crypto, even if I try to look a little bit deeper, even with XDC. I mean, you can see at least a little bit of volume pushing up, but that's not a lot of volume. I mean, as far as historical volume, we're not seeing anything. XDC hasn't seen nothing recently. Beginning of the year, yes, which is why I like this particular chart, because it shows a very confined chart. But after that, not much. Not much. Push up here. You haven't seen any volume lately, so. But that doesn't seem to that doesn't seem to bother us too much. John Wiseman said, "I know you hate ETFs, but are they helping XRP from crashing lower?" I don't know if they're helping us from crashing lower. I know they're stealing liquidity from us, but I think they work in their own way. So I think we shouldn't put as much stock into that the ETFs are killing us. But I see an inverse head and shoulders personally. I do. I see an inverse head and shoulders on XRP almost perfectly. 4 hourly's breaking into the bullish section on the stochastic. Honestly, unless $1.80, I would say this wick down here at $1.82. I mean, this looks like an inverse setup that's going to drive us higher. So, is it unavoidable to go to $1.57? Maybe. Maybe. But is there going to be some upward volatility first? It sure as hell looks so. It sure as hell looks like it. Like, even Bitcoin has an inverse head and shoulders setup, and it back tested the back test from yesterday we talked about. Like, that would be a perfect back test if it holds. This whole thing would. If it would have held. We don't know if it's going to hold, but if we want to hold this, we could have a huge volatile swing back up. Look at the 4 hourly. It is extremely oversold to start the morning. Daily's in neutral. Weekly's oversold big time. Monthly time frame getting into oversold as well. That monthly looks not great, but you still got time in the month, and we still got 8 days. And you know, crypto is going to be trading unabated here in about a day or so with no other markets open. So there's going to be a lot of movement coming. But I could see us coming back up to that 260 area. I really could. I can see Bitcoin coming back up and retesting this rising wedge around 106 early to mid-January. If that's the case, it looks like we're setting up a reversal, like a very sneaky reversal. Obviously, we can confirm a further push down, but it really feels like if we're going to continue this bearish count, we need to have a relief rally at some point. Like, that's what's stopping us right now. Now, could we invalidate a 4 up and then restart an ABC style down? I suppose we could, but it wouldn't be in our best interest to just cut that wave count and restart. I can tell you that right now, because if we restart an ABC down and then all of a sudden we get into a 5-wave continued correction, MQ knows if we start that kind of line of thinking, that could send us sub $1 quickly if we start doing that kind of crap. So I don't want to talk about theoretically we could do this or that. In theory, we should go up, retest the higher drop points. We've never retested the rising wedge breakdown. If gold and silver are in wave 5, it's Boxing Day. Lots of options expire. By the end of the year, gold and silver options, and into the first and second week of January, I believe, the COMEX and some other things, those options for silver and gold are absolutely going to expire. And we could have a weird effect from that. Yeah, Friday's going to be an interesting day. It really is, because that's the last Well, we'll get into it on Friday. Yep, we talked yesterday about the push to 106 and Bitcoin could still be in a bear. Absolutely. And in fact, if it went up there and it drove the prices up, let's say XRP went up to 260, 265. Some other things went up 10, 15, 20%. And then all of a sudden, the end of that was just to get rejected. It would be very interesting. I'm going to be interested to see how gold and silver, if it can. Okay, well, gold was down 20 bucks or whatever. I'm not sure what happened just now. Silver is at like 68.50. I want to see if we get some a downward tug here after such a push. If we are in a fifth and final wave for gold and silver, for now, it wouldn't mean it's the end of the rally, by no means. It would just mean we'd have to have at least an ABC correction after the 5 waves, which would be warranted. It's just incredible how far we've gone without any real correction here. It's literally been straight up. And we've created small consolidations, but shit. In my lifetime, I've never seen in the monthly silver and gold look like this. I mean, I've seen small sample sizes, but normally after a day or two, it would just top out and just come crashing through. I bet that's what you were seeing in XDC. It made a premature move up to the 50-day EMA, backing your thesis to front running. Yep. I think silver XDC2 is a great silver lining, because if it was able to bounce back like this after an 11% drop, and I know it hasn't recovered at all yet, but after that 11% drop, I normally get that 50 to 75% retracement. And then if you can overtake it, you'd come back up here at 494 roughly and retake the pattern. And that would be a perfect entry if it were to hold that, because then you'd have to ride it up to the top of the pattern, which very well could be what we're trying to do on an expansion to get a final rejection if we are bearish. And that could bring us up to 5.6. That's what I've been seeing. And that would almost equal a move up for XRP up into that $2.60 range. And then I have a couple others that are in the back of my mind too. If this is a contraction into expansion just to get a rejection down, I mean, you're talking about algo is at a very, very interesting spot, down about 2.4%. It's literally riding that support line, and I could make the argument that it's putting in some kind of inverse pattern if it doesn't get rejected. Shoulder, head, shoulder. We need to make sure this area doesn't give way, and right now we're kind of in between. We could all make the argument here. Now, if it falls out, then you're talking about 9.4. But the one interesting thing about algo, it's filled that gap from October 10th. Like, I'm very interested in to see, is this the floor right now for a sneaky buy, guys? We talked about this with algo before. Are we just coming back to liquidity hunt? Now it looks like we could have put in an inverse pattern here, which makes this the best opportunity to buy algo for a retracement back up, even if it's bearish. In theory, this should bring you back up 7 and possibly 20% back to the top. In theory, you should be coming back to the top if this holds. So is this a sneaky opportunity here? Is this a very sneaky yeah, Epic's doing us wonders. Just like 3-month low right now for XLR. Remember everybody talking about at 8.8? Now it's at 7.7. And Epic could be front running this entire reversal, because look, a lot of things are down here. Epic didn't come all the way to the wick, but it came down here. It's reversed up nicely. It's come up from 46. It's up about 35, 40%, 45%, and about 36% the last month. So this makes it feel like they're front running. I feel like if you're looking at opportunity, wouldn't you have to look at XLR right here? And rounding the bottom in a W reversal. The weekly time frame is way oversold. And back testing, the daily's oversold. The weekly, the monthly is significantly oversold. I would say if you're looking at something and we're gonna have a reversal, I would say maybe a good spot to start would be XLR too. Oh, no problem, MQT. I'll try to not go over stuff too incredibly important. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's an opportunity to push into Axelar significantly oversold and Algo significantly in a position where it could be the floor after it tapped that October 10th wick? Do we think things like banned right now? But I'm specifically talking about Axelar at this exact moment. I want to know what everybody thinks. Monthly as well. On there's so many things to watch here, guys. There's so many things to watch for potential reversal. Now, is it going to play out the way we want? I don't know. That's the problem. Because we're starting off in a weird way today. So, would love to hear what everybody has to say. I would love to hear, personally. Sean Crothers, welcome in, my main man from Maine and a very trusted mod in here. Crypto Cooter, very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram, along with MQT. Thank you guys for being in Townsend 3+ months and Crypto Cooter 6+ months with the XP Predictor. The only volume we have is people selling their bags at a huge hit to pay for Christmas. And that's, honestly, unlike the last couple of Christmases, we could be in a scenario where we could have a bullish Christmas here because of how much we've dumped out. I'm dead serious. This is the recipe for having bullish continuations and reversals here. Even if we are in a bearish wave count, this is the way you do it. We back tested on Bitcoin and held. We've got a rounding of the bottom in the smaller time frames and stochastic. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking maybe we have a nice inverse pattern set up here, to be honest. Ready for the 1-year badge, Crypto Plumber, and thanks for being in Tom Zone for well over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Almost up to that 12-month badge. Very, very close. Silver Days, welcome in. Crypto Cruder says, I may take a shot at Algo. I know, I've been thinking about it. It's one between that and Axel. Both of them are actually pretty intriguing this morning, depending on the way this market wants to go. But Axelar looks like it put in a nice inversion. It's just, do we continue down real quick or can we find our way? Reversal. Yes, it's below this little area for Algo. I don't know why I said Axelar, but for Algo, it's got a nice inverse pattern, and that is the clearing of the October 10th wick. So, we've cleared it out pretty nicely. And we'll see how we transpire. Hey, buddy. Hold on, I'll be right back. I want to go help my son real quick. Hold on, T. I gotta do this, PT. Yeah, I got no choice.
Did you come out for bubbles? Yeah. Remember, you had to work, I told you. Yeah.
Okay, so that's basically what I'm looking at right now. Do we have a strategic opportunity? Where's he going? He can stay out. Oh, he was? So we have a strategic opportunity, I think, with Algo. If we're going to talk about something with the reversal, because we've been talking about trying to clear out that October 10th wick for a while with Algo. And the fact we seem to have put an inverse pattern here. We look at some of these lower time frames. I'm trying to find opportunity here within a market full of a lot of weirdness. Daily time frame is trying to bounce off of its correction. Weekly's significantly oversold. Monthly in a weird spot, like most of them. And this is basically a... Could this be a reversal here down to a double bottom? Inverse shoulder, technical drop where we thought, created the head, has a left shoulder, and it is so tricky here. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just trying to piece together these charts. So this could be a shoulder to a head to a shoulder, perfectly back testing the October 10th wick low from that historic liquidation, which means we successfully dropped after a rebound on that wick. Algo has successfully dropped right now and is down 48.5% since the rebound after the October 10th drop. That's a huge, so it's cut in half. Yeah, I don't like John Wiseman having 10 or 15 different tokens in this particular market. I think if you can find and track the ones that you trust the most, and then when you get into an opportune moment, you can start to, dissect them and start to invest in them. It really makes me feel like XDC is just a day out in front, and that the reason why we haven't fallen out here is because they're all going to do the same. They're all going to follow pretty closely, it seems like. I mean, as mining stocks are correcting today, some of them, nothing crazy, but you're getting corrections there, which means money's going to find yield somewhere else. And the way it's set up in the charting, it is possible we do find the yield back into crypto. Obviously, we need to find our entry points. We need to find the liquidity spots. The crypto fear and greed index this morning is at 24. Still in extreme fear. The heat liquidation map for Bitcoin and the monthly. We'll try to get a little bit of an evidence here. That's not bad to grab some algo at 10.7 cents mix shoot, to be honest with you. I think algo made a very nice support tap there. And we'll see if it holds. Bitcoin in the monthly, tons of liquidity up here. So even if we don't go to 106, we got a ton of liquidity up here between 94 and 96. And then when you go up higher, you got even more. But it's hard to see on Bitcoin because when you go out farther than 1 and 3 months, it'll freeze. But I think, like I said yesterday, it was my contrarian look with how much gold and silver has gone up. I think now you got a bunch of people talking about I'm going to buy gold and silver. And my biggest fear is the moment everybody does that, we get a 10, 20, 30% correction across the board. And then it flips into crypto. We're at that point where crypto is extremely undervalued, like January for mining stocks. And all this stuff is extremely overvalued now. So would I be surprised? No. In fact, I'm trying to wait until the first of the year if I can. If I want to take some money out of mining stocks because they're up so much. So that it can go 1 year later into profits for, taking out of them, so to say. If you know anything about what I'm talking about. So I could see a flip early next year to where gold, silver, and mining stocks end up cooling off a little bit just at the onset. And then by the middle and third quarter, we become parabolic again. But that means money's going to change hands. Like, we're so oversold in crypto. We're at the opposite as we were in January. So now it's almost like, is it time to start laddering out of commodities, the mining stocks, because they're so overvalued, and start finding your layering in these final two phases of crypto, not necessarily for the phase, the fourth wave, but after we correct down again, if we do, Because you could invalidate a 5 wave count down and just cut it off and just invalidate it and move up. That's my contrarian view, is that now everybody's going to start getting excited about gold and silver, and then all of a sudden the risk asset comes out of nowhere with the quantitative easing money that's sent to be, or is meant to be pushed into it after. There is that potential here. I'm serious. Like, the way we're so oversold and how much liquidity is above, it's actually pretty interesting. And I know we're going to have to build liquidity walls up higher, but we've got a lot of it here between 95, 94, all the way up to 97. Even into the 98K zone, there's decent liquidity. Now, if we come down first, we've got liquidity near 83, 84, 85, and 82. Bearded Viking, thanks for being in town during 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Says, hey Tom, from one father to another, you do such an incredible job at balancing life and everything in it. Impressive. It's a journey, that's for sure. But I do it with my best intentions, and we hope Mighty Marcus is having a good day this morning as he continues to fight the new fight, or the good fight, I should say. I'm getting ready to go out and buy some silver today, not crypto. I'm pretty sure that our perspective here, Crypto Cuda, that we've been talking about, I think we're right about it. We've been in metals for the last 12 months when everybody else was on the sidelines. Now, all of a sudden here, the last couple of weeks, I've started to even see it within my comment section, how that's kind of flipping and nobody wants to buy crypto. Well, I got news for you. Now crypto is doing what metals were in January. So now you've got that oversold condition to where you theoretically are supposed to start investing back into something this oversold. I'm being serious. Like, there's something to this. I think Crypto Cooter is more on the money than most people would like to think. And it's going to be right when everybody gives up. This is exactly what happened in 23. Look at this setup. There is the case we made it. That is a rounding bottom. And look, we try to look at it in farther times and it won't let you. This is what always happens when you try to look at these farther out. It's like they don't want you to see it. Garbanzo, thanks for being in Tom's over 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. I can make the argument of this inverse setup here. I really can. Now, there's liquidity below, don't get me wrong. There's a liquidity above. If I'm looking at, you know what I want to look at real quick, and then I'll go to XRP. Is Algo on here? I think it is. No? Huh. No, Algo on here? What a fucking joke. Let's go to XRP. Let's see. Vadodamus, thanks for being in town for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Said, bought Axlar this AM. That's the one that's been on my mind too. Look at this inverse pattern with XRP even. It seems like you have a shoulder at $1.85 to $1.87. The head perfectly at $1.77, like it was supposed to tap that support. I mean, our community talked about it for ages to come down there. And now, I mean, if that's an inverse right shoulder building sometime or somewhere between 188, 186, even if it expands a little bit lower, I mean, you're talking about upward contraction here. And the higher you get, the more volume there is. And below, we've really run out of volume down here. There's not much down here until you break below. You could say that it's very choppy at best until you break above, too. I'm in for utility price discovery. I don't give a fuck what these prices do. Yeah, Axlar's had big news. Not just shaking up the team, but Axlar is in on a few different things. It's definitely something to pay attention to. But let's just see what this morning does. You know, if you're looking to buy, make sure it's got validation to what you believe in. You know, make sure we've hit a support structure and we're starting to push out. Because the worst thing that can happen is it just falls out here and then it just continues in this bearish setting. But, I mean, we're kind of getting locked up here in pricing. Shy of like a big sell signal, we're getting locked up. Like, you've had a lot of buys here for Bitcoin by some of these bigger companies. So, you even had Trump Media come out yesterday and buy Bitcoin. Doesn't it surprise you that Bitmine is back down 3.8% and actually took out that last low? Remember when it broke up from 23.50, then it back tested here, then it broke up to 41 again real quickly right before my birthday. Now, if this is a bear flag, this is where I'm nervous. If we put in bear flags and death crosses, and now we validate this, if Bitmine comes down and makes a new low and breaks below 24.32, Ethereum, crypto, Bitcoin, alts, it's not a good look. Bitmine's the single largest holder of Ethereum. If they're going down, so is Ethereum. Ronzo says, not towards you, Tom, just in general. Speculation and manipulation and fear right now. I agree. I know it's not directed towards me. I understand your point, and I agree with that. Tail and Axler don't have that inverse head and shoulders. Tail and Axler don't have that inverse head and shoulders. I mean, not like we want it. You're damn right about that. And Axler, in theory, if it breaks down still, could tap this wick almost in half of where we're at. It's just interesting because we're at this support structure, and if we could somehow hold it, which who knows if we can. I'm still choosing observation this morning just to see. I don't know. These weeklies still make me nervous because they were such a big pull down. I just want to see what the market does. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable and observation, especially when gold and silver is just, we can't tell if they're going into the next zone or if they're going to continue up. But the fact that they contracted back down and retested the drops before the push up this morning is somewhat interesting to me this morning, because that weekly doesn't look bad. You know, it contracted down and now it pulled right back up from 68.85 back to almost 69.75, well 69.65. Gold was up about $40 earlier, came down to 2,000 or 4,430, pushed back up a couple bucks. We'll see if this is the start of a correction or just a back test for continuation. It is a very interesting day today. Starting to round the top a little bit, so we'll see if we get that rebuy volume or if it just sells out here. I'm interested to see what happens for sure. Ethereum's down better than 2.8% or so. It's bouncing between 2.8 and 3% down. Bitcoin's about 1.4%. XRP is fighting that $1.88 level. Yeah, Coinbase is on a whole lot of games. They got BlackRock and Chase backing them. They sure do.
Did it die?
They sure do.
Me too.
Here, I want to fill my son's bubble thing up. His thing died.
Yeah. You tell him. You say, Daddy will be right back.
Hold on, Titi.
Yeah, tell him. Say, Daddy will be right back. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you say, Daddy will be right back. Daddy has to help me. Yeah. Daddy helped the boy. Yeah. So exciting.
Good job. You're okay. You can take it in your room. It's fine.
Yeah, you got it.
It's yours, buddy. You can use it. He just wanted to make sure it could go in his room. Good that he was asking. Is he peeking?
No, he left his door open.
Okay. I'm almost done, Julie.
Okay. I might need to run to the store.
Huh?
I might need to run to the store.
For what?
I realized I don't have anything to fill my eclairs.
No custard.
Well, I have custard. I just don't have the tool. Tool.
Gotcha. Whoops. Okay. I own my band on Coinbase, giving them another try with an asset I plan on owning long term. Interesting. Remember, crypto has been proving we're in bear market. We get volume on the dumps and move up on negative divergences. Might not see big volume on the move up. I agree with that, especially if this is a just setting up another bearish move. I get a little nervous in these mid parts of the move because they're so volatile, and a good entry point sometimes, almost like what they did with XDC, right? You get this push up, it gets up to the 200, and then it has an overzealous breakdown. Like, I still want to see XDC come up higher, because if you come from the bottom right now, we're up about 7%. That was an 11% drop. So you really need to get back up and break. Otherwise, these can end up being like these 50 to 75% retracements back up on a drop. And normally the telling sign is if you can't get back above the 200 days. So we're going to have to watch very closely. I would say 485 I would mark down. And we'll see if we get stopped in between, or if we can actually make a run back up to 494 and ultimately break over it. That would be a good sign for the rest of the market, that after the little bit of contraction down that we're having right now, we're a little bit behind XDC. Yes, it didn't have as big of a point down as XDC, but it definitely corrects enough, and then it could continue. But a lot of these gold, silver is feeling a lot like can't miss opportunity, like how crypto was portrayed to be last year. It's definitely getting into that time when you're getting into the rotation. You're definitely, and it's going to be tricky if you're a holder of mining stocks, or if you're a holder of precious metals. Like, as far as gold and silver, the precious metal, I think it's great. You don't sell those. All you're looking for, if you have gold and silver, is you're looking for the ratios that, to invert. And you're looking to sell out your silver for gold so that you can have less weight, and vice versa when it goes the wrong way. Other than that, though, where mining stocks are right now, I know in my heart, because I've traded these a long time, at some point, this whole thing is going to have a nice correction. We already had it once, remember. It's no different than what happened here. And the good thing is we did have this correction, and now we're coming back up, but these could start to be double tops now. But notice, like, this came down 35%. Yes, it's corrected a lot of it. But imagine if you were somebody who bought up here, and then you had to watch it come all the way down. The odds of you sitting from a top down 30+%, holding it for the reversal, is very slim to none. But yeah, I mean, this is how it usually works. A 50x long on Axler, whoa. That's that. A 2% movement, that's pretty risky, my friend. Now, we are rounding the bottom a little bit, so if it, man, that's a risky trade, I'll tell you what. I don't like 50x. Because that would mean even a retap down here. I mean, you don't have much wiggle room. Let's see where that would put you. You don't even need 2% to liquidate you in this situation on an exchange. You got room down, though. I mean, I'll give you something if you're going to take a shot. I mean, I'd be nervous as hell on a 50X, but still, if you were going to take a shot, I mean, no doubt, Crypto Cooter. Those in the Telegram, I posted my updated idea. Ooh, we can give a secret look. A secret look. Let's see. Let's see. This comes with the bias. Wave 3 is complete and going to start corrective. Wave 4 up. This could run through February. Must hold the $1.81 to 786. Oh, love it. Thank you so much for that, MQ. Perfect. And then if it can't hold that, well, obviously we got a little bit of a problem because then we'd have to come down to liquidity. What is that? 155.1 is the 0.70. The 1687 is the 618. I like it. I really do like it. And for anybody who doesn't know, Scotty Trades is MQT in the chat right now. I mean, if we're going to have a push through the first quarter, even if it's a fake out, we're going to have to do something like that. We really are. I would encourage everybody to join Tom's Army. Get into that Telegram. Everybody's like-minded. Gold, you know, I mean, with how much we've moved, gold sitting in its little area. Silver, I mean, you can't really complain. It went up to $70.50, went back down to $68.40 or something like that. Now it's back in between. NASDAQ's not doing dick. 39 points. Nice little V shape, though, in the last, hour or so. So we'll see if that has some upward volatility. Miners basically dumped out a portion of yesterday. Remember, most of the miners are up between 5 and 8% yesterday. Now they've given back about a quarter of that move in most, I would have to say. Crypto is giving back the move from yesterday, but we very well could be coming down to a bottoming phase. Just put in an order for an extra 20,000 algo. Ooh. Algo down at 10.97. I mean, you could be putting in the reversal candle here. You really could. We're just going to have to see if we have continuation. Because I drew this out just in case that I wanted to come down and re-tap this from a interesting dynamic and stay bullish. I thought that it could still come down a little bit lower. That even if it wanted to tempt fate, maybe, I don't know though, because it came down to 10.8. Doesn't have much more room it can go, because if we're trying to put an inverse left or right shoulder, this is about as far as we can go here. Otherwise, if you come into invalidation, you could just drop out. Now, it is interesting that we filled this exhaustion wick and put an inverse head possibly. Should have got XYO. Depends where. Honestly, just all depends where. But XYO, it's been known to be very volatile on the swings. It's a data oracle, and I don't hate it. It's just, it's really one you have to buy at the exact positioning. Now, could this be one of those moments? There's a lot of things that suggest that we're getting close to even if it's a fake out to the top side, we're going to have some kind of liquidity tug here, it feels like. At some point. Now, XYL, where I would say is the best opportunity, if it can hold, is this uptrend. Somewhere around 0.0037. Now, that's another big drop. So, we're just going to have to see. We haven't fallen through the support levels that we've defined here and the support structures on these big drops that we had recently on October 10th. We're at least maintaining a lot of these drop points. It does put us in an interesting position for opportunity. It really does. But XYO was very good to me. I just said I'm not going to keep doing this in and out until it gets down to a certain level, and that's what I'm trying to wait for. I'm a very big fan of XYO, as most of you know. Very big fan. I think it's undervalued in the right areas, but it's mistraded a lot of times because there's not a lot of volume. There's not a lot of emphasis on it. The only thing it is it's a data oracle, so it can move the data between the exchange and the actual individual token on the blockchain. So that's a big deal. It's just, it can also cost you large amounts of money if you do it improperly. So, it basically comes down to this for Axelar. Do you think it comes down to the exhaustion wick? Or do you think that this is filling up in a fashion now to where we are in some kind of support structure and then we'll bounce off this and have to come retest this area? Do you just think it's going to come back up to 10.7 and retest a 20-day? Which would still be closing in on a 30% move. AERO is at its bottom. Interesting. I can take a look for you, Mr. Crothers. I know we're coming towards the end here, and my son, has needed a little help here. So I appreciate everybody who's patient. When my son comes out here during lives, he has special needs. He's autistic. He's nonverbal. And he's had a lot of injuries and trauma in his life, so I try to make it as easy as I can, and I don't care if I'm doing my live, I will immediately interrupt it, whether there's one person or 10,000 people, I don't care. He comes first, and most people understand that now if you watch me. I don't know if I agree that this is at the bottom. If it filled out that wick, I would agree more that that little setup right now looks a little scary. Looks like it's ready to drop down even farther with that daily. I would just be cautious and have a plan when you're buying into something like this right now, and anything. Because as much as we're showing the ability to bottom, we're still showing the fact that we could fall through here. So you always want to be cautiously optimistic. And we've got to, you want to make sure that you have an area where you're like, I'm going to buy this if it gets there, if it meets my demand. Right now, we have to be aware that that's still a rejection at 90,613. And if Bitcoin can't invalidate this, the technical drop is 77,743. And that's firm fundamentals. That's not even from the rising wedge. That's just from a bearish pennant or so. Whatever you want to call that, bearish consolidation pennant. I don't care what you call it. But that tells us we have a drop, of 77,743, which from here would be a $10,000 drop for Bitcoin if this played true. So I'm not convinced of anything until it proves it to me. And you're welcome, Sean. I know that was a quick look there, but I need to do a little bit more price evaluation. Let's see. I love how everybody's interacting. Oh, we've come so far in this community. But let's hope that this is the start for the wave 4 to the top side, and 3 was exhausted, and then 5 would be back down, which is fine. But if we do have a wave 4 up, it's not going to happen in 2 days. I'm just telling you, with how long it's expanded out, this won't happen in 2 days. This would be a several week, if not a month-long movement to fill this out properly. And it would happen quickly. It wouldn't happen slow, FYI. This would happen very quickly. In the reversal phase, it would I kind of like these moments when we're oversold like this, when all of the market's going to be closed down for, the Christmas holiday. So, just be safe in your movements. Have a plan, but stick to your plan and don't be afraid. And also have your areas where you're like, if I buy in here, if it does this, I'm out. Because I can very strongly argue that we have an inverse setup here. And we already know with the wick off, this should technically be in a support phase. So But yeah, I think this was a great live. No new members of Tom's Army or donations or anything like that. But I think a lot of information was shared, and a lot of times above monetary support is the wisdom that is shared to me by my own audience, and that means more than monetary support. Even though the support helps, we're bouncing off of the support structure right now, and this is trying to suggest to us we should be moving up to $2 plus soon. Soon. It also tells us that Axelar, if you're watching something, please pay attention to something like that, just in case it does reverse here. And please pay attention to something like Algo. Algo's filled out that exhaustion wick, and if something's going to move, this is going to be something. This would be one of them. FYI, because of where it's at in the pattern. And it's either these inverse patterns are going to hold, or something different is setting up that we don't quite understand. And that would be kind of demoralizing if this doesn't play out like it's supposed to. So, yeah, I think these drops are very much set up. Look at all of these companies that are buying more Bitcoin, all these corporations, all these entities. I think this is set up for a reason like this. And I know BitMine was down today, or Bitmine, but could just be setting up. I mean, it's come down exactly where I thought it would before it could start a rephase. So, just kind of invalidate some of the structural stuff. Right now in this daily, but these are all set up like this for a reason. I think that's pretty good. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Silver's back over 70. Wow. That's not technically a good sign for risk assets. Gold's back up 15 bucks. We're going to see what silver and gold has in store for us at the end of the day. I, too, gamify, want one big drop. I mean, if we talk about the wick off, we shouldn't have any problem getting another drop. But it's going to be all about positioning. Like, do we get the drop here? Or do we go up for that last corrective wave up? Well, actually, it'd be expansion up, actually. MQ did a great job in the Telegram talking about why that would be an expansion phase 2 right now. And I can't argue. It's on the money. So, for everything in my gut that wants it to go down, I still feel like we need that expansion out first. And I think XDC is a perfect gatekeeper of what's coming. I really do. I can't help that feeling. So, if you're talking about SHX, it had that artificial movement yesterday, got rejected at 8330, almost perfectly. That's what scares me a little bit too, you know. But you have to have a little bit of scared for this to work. See how that made a perfected inverse right shoulder pull down? This is where the bulls could actually take command, as long as we don't invalidate and break below 007. It's going to be a major opportunity across the board developing. We've talked about every reason why. And it's not going to punch you in the face and say, buy me now. We're about to have wave 4 retest up. Alpha, thanks for the $4.99 donation. Said, I refuse to let you leave here without getting some kind of monetary gain. Thank you so much for that, my friend. Alpha, coming in with that $4.99 super chat. What a genius. What a guy. What a friend. And then Ethereum down 2.15%. That has an inverse setup as well. It can be invalidated, in my opinion, if you break down past... Ooh, actually, this has a nice defined area to tell us something. Look at this. That's basically your neckline. In a jank way, that's your neckline to tell you. This could get expansive, guys. If you want to come through, you could argue dupe, and then reverse out. You could make that argument. Even if it just bounces up to here, you can make that argument to retest. Maybe it was a cup. So, but I'm going to go, guys. I want to go hang out with my son. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. I'm going to do a short here shortly on XRP right around noon or 12:30 to update this particular setup. If XDC is leading a move up, no. It depends. Because XDC came up here, contracted down. If it breaks out, you would expect the movement to retest this zone. Somewhere in this area, into this box that I drew out. You'd expect it to come up here. So this would have just been resistance, tap support, and then you'd come out. So this would be like a bottoming. And then this could be a topping phase. So I would completely expect XDC to push out of this contraction and in this consolidation and ultimately find its way up about 12%, all the way maybe even 18% higher than where we are now, if that's the case of what we're doing, personally. Times 10x. Thanks for being in town during 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Says silver just hit $70.34 again. Holy Toledo. $70.15 currently. My yard now, thanks for being in town during 3+ months with the XP Meter and also the $4.99 super chat. I encourage all of you to join Tom's Army. If you want to, you can always gift a membership to a fellow member in here to show your support. I encourage you to be part of the Telegram. There are so many people with like-minded narratives and agendas, and so many people that believe in the same path we're taking. Can be very, very helpful. We're gonna continue to watch these charts, and I'll give you an update on XRP in about an hour and 19 minutes or so to see the trajectory. Remember what MQT said though. Even if we're going out for wave 4, we could finish this drop, kind of like what we seen in XDC style of that 11% the other day. Maybe XRP comes down to that $1.81 zone. We have to watch. But let's just watch here and make sure that you have conviction in what you're doing, because there are opportunities here. It's scary. It seems a little bit cringeworthy at times, but that's how it's supposed to feel when it's these uneasy price movements. This is what it's supposed to feel like. It's supposed to feel like you shouldn't buy. I'm very, very, very curious to see how this plays out today. We're very oversold in some of the